The Vikings. The very name evokes images of fierce warriors, horned helmets, and violent raids, but how accurate are these images? The truth, as is often the case, is far more complex. The Vikings were indeed skilled warriors, but they were also farmers, traders, explorers, and artisans. They were a multifaceted people with a rich culture and a lasting legacy. This essay will delve into the world of the Vikings, separating fact from fiction. We will explore their origins, their daily lives, their beliefs, and their impact on the world. Get ready to journey back in time to uncover the true story of these fascinating people. The Vikings were not a monolithic entity. They came from different parts of Scandinavia, and their experiences varied depending on their social standing and geographic location. Some Vikings were wealthy landowners, while others were subsistence farmers. Some were skilled craftspeople, while others were merchants who traveled far and wide. The Viking Age, spanning roughly from the 8th to the 11th centuries, was a period of remarkable expansion for the Norse people. This era saw the Vikings, known for their seafaring prowess and adventurous spirit, embark on journeys that would take them far beyond their Scandinavian homelands. Driven by a combination of factors, they ventured out from their Scandinavian homelands to explore, trade, raid, and settle across a vast area. These voyages were not random acts of wanderlust, but were motivated by specific needs and opportunities. What prompted this outward surge? Overpopulation in Scandinavia played a role, as the limited arable land could not support the growing population. This scarcity of resources pushed many to seek new lands where they could farm and sustain their families. The lure of fertile land and riches elsewhere was another significant factor. Europe, with its vast and fertile countryside, presented an attractive destination for those looking to establish new settlements. The promise of wealth, whether through farming or raiding, was a powerful motivator. Political unrest and internal conflicts also contributed to the Viking expansion. The fragmented political landscape of Scandinavia, with its numerous chieftains and petty kings, often led to conflicts and power struggles. For many, leaving to seek fortune and stability elsewhere was a preferable option to remaining in a volatile homeland. The Vikings were skilled seafarers, and they possessed advanced shipbuilding techniques that allowed them to navigate the treacherous waters of the North Atlantic. Their shipbuilding expertise was a crucial factor in their ability to travel such great distances. Their longships, sleek and sturdy vessels, could travel up rivers and withstand the open ocean. These ships were not only fast and agile but also capable of carrying large numbers of warriors and goods, making them ideal for both raiding and trading missions. The Vikings established trade routes that stretched from North America to the Caspian Sea. These routes facilitated the exchange of goods and ideas, connecting distant regions and cultures in a vast network of commerce. They traded goods such as furs, timber, slaves, and luxury items like silver and spices. The wealth generated from these trade activities helped to fuel further expeditions and settlements. Their voyages took them to the shores of Britain and Ireland, where they raided monasteries and established settlements. These raids were often brutal, but they also led to the integration of Viking culture with local populations, resulting in a lasting impact on the regions they touched. They ventured south to France, Spain, and even North Africa. In these regions, they engaged in both raiding and trading, adapting to the local conditions and forming alliances with local rulers when beneficial. Eastward, they traveled along the rivers of Russia, reaching the Byzantine Empire and beyond. The Vikings, known as the Varangians in these parts, served as mercenaries and traders, leaving a significant mark on the history and culture of the regions they encountered. While the Vikings are often remembered for their raids, the majority of them lived peaceful lives. Agriculture formed the backbone of their economy. They farmed barley, oats, and wheat, and they raised cattle, sheep, pigs, and goats. Viking society was also known for its skilled craftspeople. Blacksmiths forged weapons, tools, and jewelry. Woodcarvers created intricate designs on furniture, ships, and religious objects. Weavers produced textiles from wool and linen. Trade played a vital role in Viking society. They traded with other Viking communities as well as with people from distant lands. Their trading skills brought them wealth and allowed them to acquire goods that were not available in Scandinavia. Life for the Vikings was often challenging, especially given the harsh climate of their homelands. But they were resilient and resourceful, adapting to their environment and developing skills that allowed them to thrive. Section 4. Family matters, the structure of Viking households. The family unit was central to Viking society. It was the bedrock upon which their entire social structure was built. The longhouse, a large communal living space, was the heart of this unit, where daily life unfolded. Households typically consisted of extended families, with several generations living together under one roof. This multi-generational living arrangement fostered a strong sense of community and mutual support. Grandparents, parents, and children all shared the same space, contributing to the household's well-being. The head of the household was the eldest male, who held authority over family members and property. His role was not just as a leader but also as a protector and provider. He was responsible for making crucial decisions that affected the entire family, from managing resources to resolving conflicts. Women in Viking society enjoyed a relatively high status compared to other cultures of the time. They were respected and had significant influence within the household. Their opinions were valued, and they played a crucial role in the family's economic and social activities. They could own property, inherit wealth, and even initiate divorce. This level of autonomy was rare in the medieval world and highlights the progressive aspects of Viking culture. Women could manage their own estates and were often involved in trade and commerce. However, their primary roles were centered around the household, including childcare, cooking, and textile production. These tasks were essential for the family's survival and well-being. Women were skilled in weaving and spinning, producing the textiles needed for clothing and trade. Children were highly valued in Viking culture and were raised to be strong and self-reliant. From a young age, they were taught the skills necessary for adulthood. Play was often a form of training, preparing them for the responsibilities they would take on as adults. Boys were trained in farming, hunting, and fighting. These skills were crucial for their future roles as providers and protectors. They learned to handle weapons and defend their families and communities, while girls learned domestic skills and crafts. They were taught to manage the household, cook, and create textiles. These skills ensured that they could contribute to the family's economic stability and social standing. Family honor and loyalty were paramount in Viking society. These values were instilled from a young age and were central to the Viking way of life. Loyalty to one's family and kin was considered a sacred duty. Blood feuds were not uncommon, and revenge was seen as a duty. These feuds could last for generations and were often sparked by issues of honor and loyalty. The concept of revenge was deeply ingrained in Viking culture, and it was believed that avenging a wrong was a way to restore balance and justice. However, there were also established laws and social customs that helped to maintain order and resolve disputes. The Vikings had a complex legal system with assemblies known as things where disputes were settled and laws were made. These gatherings were crucial for maintaining social harmony and ensuring that justice was served. Section 5. Gods and Myths, the rich tapestry of Norse beliefs. The Vikings had a rich and complex mythology, populated by gods and goddesses who reflected the forces of nature and the human condition. Their pantheon was vast, with each deity embodying different aspects of life and the natural world. These gods and goddesses were not just distant ethereal beings, they were deeply intertwined with the daily lives and struggles of the Norse people. Odin, the All-Father, was the god of wisdom, war, and death. He was often depicted as a one-eyed, long-bearded figure, always in search of greater knowledge, even at great personal cost. Odin's quest for wisdom led him to sacrifice his eye at Mimir's well and hang himself on the world tree, Yggdrasil, for 9 days and nights to gain the knowledge of the runes. Thor, the god of thunder, was a protector of humankind. Wielding his mighty hammer, Mjolnir, Thor was a fierce warrior who defended both gods and humans from the giants and other threats. His strength and bravery made him one of the most beloved gods in Norse mythology, and his stories were told and retold around the hearths of Viking homes. Freya, the goddess of love and fertility, was associated with beauty and magic. She was also a warrior goddess, leading the Valkyries and choosing half of the slain warriors to reside in her hall, Sessrumnir. Freya's dual nature as both a nurturer and a fierce warrior made her a complex and revered figure in Norse mythology. Norse mythology was not codified in a single holy book. Instead, it was a living tradition, passed down orally through generations. The skalds, or poets, played a crucial role in preserving these stories, using their skills to weave tales of gods, heroes, and epic battles. These stories were shared in the form of poems, songs, and sagas, often around the warmth of a communal fire. They were not just entertainment, they provided moral guidance, explained the world around them, and reinforced the values and beliefs of the Viking community. The communal aspect of storytelling helped to strengthen social bonds and ensure that the wisdom of the past was not forgotten. Each retelling of a saga or myth was an opportunity to connect with the ancestors and the divine. The Vikings believed in a cyclical view of time, with the universe destined to be destroyed and reborn. This concept, known as Ragnarok, was a central theme in their mythology. It was not seen as an end, but rather a transformation, a necessary part of the cosmic cycle. They also believed in fate or weird, which dictated the course of one's life. This belief in an inescapable destiny was reflected in their stories and their understanding of the world. The runes, which were both a writing system and a means of divination, were believed to hold the secrets of fate and the mysteries of the universe. Religious practices were often communal, with sacrifices and feasts held at sacred groves or temples. These gatherings were not just religious observances, they were also social events that reinforced community bonds and shared values. However, there was no priestly class as in other religions. Instead, religious leadership fell to the heads of households or local chieftains. This decentralized approach to worship reflected the egalitarian nature of Viking society, where each person had a role to play in maintaining the balance between the human and the divine. The heads of households or local chieftains would lead ceremonies, make offerings, and ensure that the gods were honored. This responsibility was both a privilege and a duty, reflecting the interconnectedness of the community and the divine in Norse belief.